Welcome back. We've been joined in the program by the Commissioner of Information in Edo State, Mr. Kasim Afegbua, who was a former spokesman of former military head of state, Ibrahim Babangida. Mr. Afegbua, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Jeffrey.
Good morning. So CSOs, quite a number of CSOs are gearing up for a big, massive protest to the National Assembly, insisting on Section 60, subsection 3 of the amended or repeal and reenacted bill, which the Senate has said they want to leave things the way they are, leaving it to INEC. And then some senators have come out to say, no, that's not exactly what we did. So even amongst the senators, it looks like there's no clarity as to what was passed. But the messaging that came out is to the effect that the Senate is reluctant or is not passing real-time, doesn't want to pass the act that has to do with real-time transmission of results from the polling unit to wherever the IREV. That's on one hand. So I want your take on this particular one. The Senate is also moving. They're meeting tomorrow in an emergency session because vote and proceedings have not been done, which will give rise to a committee being set up for a committee has been set up for the harmonization to start. But your general outlook as to this controversy around the Electoral Act amendment, let's start from there.
Yeah, good morning, Jeffrey. I've listened to quite a number of commentaries on this issue of real-time electronic transfer of results, and a lot of the information out there are actually not practicable in terms of what obtains during the election. And if you take a holistic view of the entire Electoral Act as it is, you find out that there are other provisions of the Act that are not being looked into in discussing issue of real time. Those who want to protest, they have the right to protest, but I will advise that they should please save their energies. You cannot twist or force a legislation on the people because you do not occupy majority. The simple law or doctrine of democracy is that majority will have their way, minority will have their say. In the Senate, APC members are more. In the House of Rep, APC members are more. If you generate a cacophony of voices across the land in the name of CSOs and because you want a particular legislation, you have to take a holistic view of quite other things. And one of them is this. You say real-time transmission of election results at the polling unit center. Election results are not concluded at the polling unit center by virtue of the current Electoral Act. When the Edo election took place, people were complaining that there were quite a lot of infractions here and there, particularly the opposition PDP. But they have forgotten that the returning officer at the polling unit does not have the power to cancel one vote, whether it was wrongly computed, whether the ballot was invalid, he doesn't have that power. Until you go to the Ward Collation Center, under the Act, it gave the power to the ward returning officer, having scrutinized all the figures from the polling unit before they can take action. There are ballots that the thumbprint will cross the line. You can't decide whether it is valid or invalid until you get to the Ward Collation Center. There are accredited voters more than real voters and those who voted and all of that. There is what you call it, mutilation of election results or result sheet. All of these, they will package them together, and when they get to the Ward Collation Center, they will rectify them, and the Ward Collation Officer is the one who has that power under the Electoral Act to do so. So if you post result at the polling unit center to IREF, chances are that by the time that result goes through further scrutiny at the Ward Collation Center and the local government collation center, there may have been a difference of 10, 5, 15, 20, as the case may be. And by the time you sum up, you see people will continue to raise because they have been rigged election. What they posted at the polling center is not the same as the World Pollution Center. That is why we need to, if we want to do e-transmission, real-time, we need to also factor in those particular laws or sections that give power to ward returning officer and the local government returning officer to do the things I mentioned earlier. And again, we are not looking at the human infrastructure with respect to conduct of elections. People keep talking about retime. In Edo election 2024, when they were posting results on IREF, and we discovered that election of Governor Baseki in 2020 were being posted, into the IREF of INEC. Once it comes to technology, you are not the final say, especially in this age of artificial intelligence. People can say do all kinds of things to manipulate. Prior to the 2023 election, INEC cried out that over 68 attempts have been made to hack into their IREF portal. We didn't listen to them. We thought it was all a fluke. But when the election came and there were glitches, that was the only thing we latched onto. So the point is, the human infrastructure must be right before you can talk about e-transmission.
Mr. Afegbua,
INEC operates over a million.
Let me come in so you can build on your thought. So the reasons, the first set of reasons you've given are doable around the polling unit. I'm not saying whether the person has the power. The law is very clear that if a vote is mutilated, somebody didn't print well, overvoting, these are common sense, common issues, because when you go to the polling unit, these are the orientation you'll be given by the polling officer. Say, please print this way, print that way, because if you don't do this, you'll be invalidated. So he sees that. So is that really an excuse? Because the challenge here is not to say that shenanigans of the political class or whoever conducts the shenanigans to undermine the system can't happen at the polling unit. The real danger is that as soon as certain things are not done at the polling unit, it goes to that ward collection center, that's when the magic happens. So I think, is it not common sense that a polling officer who has seen that these ballots, he sees that this ballot is not properly printed, doesn't he have a right to just drop that, as simple as it is?
Jeffrey, I am giving you practical experience. I have monitored elections in and out of the country for over 25 years. And I can tell you that in the Nigerian case, I am a voter. I sit in my polling unit during elections to look at proceedings, to watch proceedings. All of those things you are talking about, mutilation, the polling unit returning officer has no such powers to cancel one vote. He has no such powers. It is when they move it to ward collation center before the glow of all party agents. But if you don't have the resources to recruit party agents, please don't complain. You must recruit at least 300,000 party agents, two per polling unit, as the case may be, for you to be double sure that if one misbehaves, one will still retain his sanity. So when you get to the ward collation center, there's no magic that happens there. I keep hearing this word. Before the glare of all party agents, every result of the polling units in that ward will be presented. In my own case, we have 10 polling units in my ward, Ward 5, in Okpela, where I vote. And they will present the result one after the other. And if there are complaints by party agents on the outcome of A, B, C, and D, with respect to the voting, that is where it is trashed. It is like the local adjudication point where you sift the seed from the chaff so as to get the proper outcome of election results at the polling unit center. So the ward collation center is very important. Nobody can add figures there. You cannot, except you want to dominate all the party agents. If you don't pay your polling agents, as in party agents, you don't pay them and they are hungry and another party decides to buy them over, good for you. But the point I'm making is that at that particular ward collation center, all issues of petty infractions here and there are sorted out, and a clean sheet of the outcome of election results from the ward and polling units are entered. Now, when you live there, you still go to local government polling unit, where every result from the wards In my local government, we have about 10 wards. Every ward result will be presented. If there are complaints here and there, you sort it out. Because people who are conducting these elections and us who are party agents, we know ourselves. We know ourselves. INEC officials are coming for the first time, for example. INEC recruits over 1 million ad hoc staff who they don't know, whose loyalty they cannot guarantee. So there are a lot of things that go on during elections. And so when people keep talking about e-transmission, real-time transmission, who is doing it? Strangers recruited by INEC, whose loyalty you don't know, whose background you don't know where they are coming from. They are trained 3, 4, 5 days before election to go and handle electronic gadget or technology. As we speak now, this point I'm making is to buttress the position taken by the Senate President with respect to technology. INEC is doing voters registration as we speak now. They were at my ward yesterday in the village, and my followers called me to say that the network has been an issue, and the fault is they've only been able to register 100 voters.
All right, Mr. Afegbua.
So if you make a law mandatory,
right?
What of if there are genuine cases of technical issues?
All right, Mr. Afegbua. I need to come in quickly and refer to something you said earlier on. It appears you're misconstruing the APC's majority in the Senate to mean the same as majority in the minds of Nigerians, in Nigeria's population. So I want us to separate that. It doesn't mean the same thing, Mr. Afegbua.
I'm sorry. I'm not misconstruing it.
That's what you said. You said that they can't stop the majority.
Listen, the point you just made now is not empirical. How do you know what is in the minds of Nigerians?
Well, your point, Mr. Afegbua, your point is not empirical, but I'll give you my own empirical backing. The APC, pardon me, let me give you the figures. You asked, so let me give you the figures. The APC's votes when it got into power was 36%. Other Nigerians had 60+%. So in that sense, APC did not enjoy majority. It was the same with PDP. Pre-2015 elections, they had majority in the Senate, but they lost when it was time for election. So figure-wise, the APC does not enjoy majority of Nigerian votes. It's different from what's happening in the Senate.
No, sir. I beg to differ.
All right.
APC enjoy majority votes among those who came out to vote on election day. Voters' apathy is another issue altogether.
Mr. Afegbua, I just gave you the figures. APC had 36% and others had over 60. All right.
You see, 36% gave APC the recognition to preside over the country. That means they got majority votes among the voters who came out to vote on election day. And that gave them the legitimacy to preside over the country. That must be established. Those who did not vote, you can't speak for them.
We're talking about two decisions here, electronic voting or not. So you are saying that nobody should come against majority, which is the APC. And I'm telling you that when you look at it, APC does not have that majority. If the 60% of Nigerians, or at least the voters, say, well, this is what we want, the senators on the floor cannot stand against that. And these people can protest either by the civil society, they can protest by themselves every day. But I'm just trying to say, don't let's use the majority that the APC has in the Senate to mean that that's what Nigerians want as majority. I hope you get my point.
No, the point you are making still confounds me, because you said the point Nigerians want. Who are the Nigerians? Am I not a Nigerian? Don't I have followers? I am telling you that under a democracy, when you talk about parliamentary rule, majority carries the day, minority will have their way. That's why they call it the tyranny of the majority. In lawmaking, we are making law. Laws are not made in the market. They are not made in the marketplace. Laws are made within the confines of the parliamentary building, both the House of Reps, in the bicameral situation, the Reps, and the Senate. And within that Senate, when they want to make law, that's why you hear them saying, let us vote, or voice vote, or yes vote. So the point is, you cannot use the market woman out there to determine what happens inside the Senate. When the laws are presented and they are carefully diagonized and synthesized and analyzed, they will come up with their resolutions and conclusions, and they will vote. When they vote, whatever they vote, be the outcome of that process. So don't use the loud voice out there to determine legislative processes. Legislative process is dependent on the 109 senator.
I'm glad you referred to... Right, and I get your point, but I'm glad you refer to the dysfunctionality of the system, because the people there on the floor of either the House of Representatives or the Senate are meant to do the bidding. They're meant to represent the market woman who you refer to, the farmer, the everyday Nigerian. Those are the people they are meant to represent. But when they go there and stop representing those people, then we can talk about that tyranny in the sense. But primarily representation is for the people, not for those people on the floor of the Senate.
No, how do you know that those persons have not consulted their constituents to say this is what they want? How do you know that public area has not been carried out at the various constituencies? For the senators representing my Senate now, and my constituency now, we've told them what we wanted in our own senatorial district.
When did you have the town hall meeting, Mr. Afegbua? Where was it and who was in attendance?
Please let me, don't trivialize this.
I'm not. You said that they had town hall. So tell us, when you had that town hall, who was there and what were the decisions made? So we are more transparent to Nigerians.
Please, allow me to learn first. Every senator has a constituency office. If you are not aware, please go and find out.
It's a simple question, Mr. Afegbua. When did you have that meeting?
I am coming. If I tell you now, would you know?
Well, Nigerians are listening. It's not for me, it's for Nigerians, Mr. Afegbua. When did you have the meeting?
Listen to me. If you have a majority in the Senate and you have a majority in the reps, it means that you have more constituencies supporting those majority in the Senate and those constituencies supporting majority in the House of Reps. So the point is, if you have 60 senators, for example, they have constituencies, and they enjoy the support of their constituents, whether you like it or not.
Let me come in. Let me come in here, Mr. Afegbua. I know you're a member of the APC, so it's fine. Everybody needs to defend their own. My senator didn't consult. Just hold on. Just hold on, Mr. Afegbua. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. So let's make progress. Sometimes what happens is, I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think you get the point my colleague is making. So, for instance, Samson Ekong is my senator. He hasn't called me or consulted me on this matter, because if I was to vote in Akwa Ibom and I find that I voted against electronic transmission of result, I'll make sure it doesn't come back as senator. That is my position. So sometimes what happens is that when politicians meet in their political meetings, they assume that is the generality of the people. But there's something you said. I want to read section 51, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act to you. It says, where the number of votes cast at an election in any polling unit exceeds the number of accredited voters in that polling unit, the presiding officer shall cancel the results of the election in that polling unit. Because you alluded to the fact that the presiding officer in that election, in the polling unit, cannot do that. I just needed to show you that that is not entirely accurate.
You see this point? No. This point you just raised is just one of the several.
No. Mr. Afegbua, just hold on. You cited 3 instances because just hold on, sir. Just hold on. My plead with you. You cited overvoting. It's not as if your points are invalid. I'm just speaking the law you cited. That you were wrong on the law. You cited overvoting. You cited overvoting. You cited mutilation. You cited issues of wrong-term printing that the officer, the polling unit officer, doesn't have the powers. I just told you the law, 2022, not 2026, that the man or the woman has the power to cancel that election. I read it out to you. But where I'm going to with all of this is not about majority or no majority. Yeah, you will respond. I'm adding my question to it. Where I'm going to with all of this, trust me, Mr. Afegbua, that a lot of Nigerians want electronic. There's an understanding of the encumbrances in terms of broadband penetration, and I'm waiting to see what Boso Tijani is going to present as his scorecard prior to the election, because campaigns will soon start to begin to look at what the Tinubu administration has done well, what it hasn't done well, what it needs to build, and what it has done terribly, because they promised that by 2025 ending, broadband penetration should at least get to 90%. So, because it's good for national security, it's good for election management like this. In your view, why is it difficult to pass the law and see how it plays out in the first place?
I don't have problem with passing the law. What I have problem with is making it mandatory. Because when you say mandatory, if there are technical issues occasioned by poor technology on election day, it is the same Nigerians that will complain that the process has been manipulated. I just gave you an instance where in 2024 elections in Edo, we had 2020 election results being posted on IREF on that election of Edo. That was an instance. Coming to the other question about the polling unit, the same electoral act spells out in section, I think 64, 65, 66, if you read them together, that actions on cancellation of results and all that cannot be validly imputed until the ward returning officer decides on the outcome based on the presentations by the polling unit returning officer and the polling agents in that vicinity. Because that particular position let me finish. That position was canvassed during our tribunal case in the last governorship election of Edo. Because people keep talking about election at the polling unit, election results at the polling unit is not conclusive. That's the point I'm making. It's not conclusive until the ward collation officer is able to conclude the outcome of the entire units in that ward.
No, we are saying the same, Mr. Afegbua, hold on, sorry. We're saying the same thing differently. The law empowers the man to counsel. If they now go to the ward level and it is now overturned for whatever reason, it can be reflected. We even have an INEC supposed to review its own election results after 7 days. Just hold on. Just hold on, Mr. Afegbua. If you can calm down for a moment. Just hold on. We're trying to give an understanding to the people here, so don't misguide them. Because in one breath, you had said, overvoting, the presiding officer cannot cancel elections. And I've showed you in the law that it can. Whether that it can be overturned at the ward level is a different kettle of fish. The argument here, Mr. Afegbua, our argument here, Mr. Afegbua, is that to reduce the incidence of rigging, and I insist and I stand by what I said, that the biggest rigging, whether it's by coercion, force or threat or shenanigans, happens at the collation center, which is minimized at the polling unit. Is why Nigerians are insisting that this has to happen at the polling unit. I'm asking, why is that a problem? But you've not answered that question.
Which of the collation center are you talking about? Is it the unit or collation center?
Ward. From ward level, Mr. Afegbua. We know what we're talking about. We're not confused here.
Please, Oga, we are real-time, let me use the word now. We are real-time observers of election at the polling unit level and at the ward unit. If you want to rig election, what the best point where they rig the election is at the polling unit center. That is where you have vote buying by operators of different political parties. Right. Vote buying.
All right.
What we should be talking about is to reduce the incidences of vote buying, so that outcome of election will reflect the wishes and aspirations of the people. But to tell me that get to the world level is where you read the election. Oga, it is fine. Right. I have a part and parcel of election.
Mr. Afegbua, you're talking like you are a politician. I'm a journalist. I've also been on the field. So all of us are stakeholders. So there's nothing you're saying that is new to me.
I'm a journalist. We're trained journalists for that matter.
All right.
You're not a politician, Mr. Afegbua.
Well, Mr. Afegbua,
what I do for a living is media consultancy. That's the office I operate in Abuja. I'm a journalist.
All right.
What I'm saying is that don't overgeneralize issues.
All right.
Don't conclude by making a lot of Nigerians.
All right, Mr. Afegbua, we have to anchor at this. We have to anchor at this point. We must also thank you for sharing insights on how to rig election, where it will happen, and where the best place is. Jeffrey.
No, I am only directing you that the real conversation should be about that, not all this transmission.
And we appreciate that. We appreciate that, Mr. Afegbua.
Even voters, INEC cannot register voters. Because they are technical.
Mr. Afegbua, I'm happy we're having this conversation. I know you're a senior colleague. You've been on this on both sides, but now I see you as a politician. So, Section 52(1), Section 64(1) to 3 clearly stands on my position. But I understand where we're coming from. We're arguing and debating because we want the best, so that politicians will stop undermining the process. But I must thank you for coming on the program. We'll have this engagement. We'll have this engagement even as we move forward towards the election. But thank you so much, sir. Commissioner for Information, Edo State, and former spokesman of the former military administrator, head of state, I should say, IBB. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Military president. This is how you get titles wrong. Military president.
Military president. I said head of states, and I said, Mr. Afegbua.
No, not head of state. He didn't use head of state. He used military president.
Well, which was an aberration of our laws, by the way. So let's not go there.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't know that
it's an aberration. There's nothing like military head of state. But thank you, Mr. Afegbua.
Military president.
We'll take a break. I will be right back. Stay with us.